Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Dramaology podcast. I would like to say first of all, Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you guys had a great holiday and it's good to be in a new year. In this episode, I would like to explore the green flag female lead archetype that was used a lot in 2023. And this is something I noticed in quite a few dramas that kind of spurred me on to make this episode. To explore this term, I want to first start with the term red flag. And this is a term that I feel like for me, I first started to see it in 2020, right? During the pandemic era, right? And it's a term that a lot of people recognize, like when they say someone is a red flag, right? In the K-drama world and the rest of the world, it basically means that someone with a toxic trait or some toxic traits. And let's be honest, male leads in dramas have this in abundance, right? In fact, this is where the term second lead syndrome kind of comes in, and why a lot of people have this issue where they fall in love with the second male lead because he's usually just a better person than the male lead, who is usually just a shitty person, especially before he falls in love with like the female lead. Right, and so you have those characters where it's just the second male lead that kind of shines in that kindness and everything. They make the second lead such a good person that we, the audience, can never understand why the female lead would choose the male lead, other than the fact that he is the male lead. Popular examples of male leads like this is, for example, the male lead in the classic Korean drama Secret Garden. This was a male lead that was abusive, that was mean, and like generally just hateful. And somehow, despite having all these red flags, he was still the one that the female lead ended up with. So basically around 2020, really, that's when that term kind of popped up to mean people with toxic traits, right? But also around 2020, again, maybe just because of like human nature and the need to like contrast things, the term green flag male lead also popped up, right? And that's basically referring to a male lead that basically has positive traits and vibes, and a good example of a male lead like this is Extraordinary Attorney Woo. The male lead in this drama was, I think, one of the first dramas I would say a lot of people use that term for. They would refer to the male lead there as a green flag because he was just a very, very good person, right? And that's why the term was used for him. But soon after, I noticed that there was an extension of this word to female leads, right? And in an almost different way, because generally most females in dramas are kind of written decently. But in a case of a green flag female lead, they are typically even more of a good person than just the regular female lead, right? They exhibit positive, healthy traits, not just in their relationships, right? But in general, they know how to communicate, they know how to express their feelings, and just generally not toxic, right? Which is different from like male leads. Male leads, when they say someone is a green flag, this is almost like, because the bar is so low to begin with, it means more for like male leads. But female leads also have this trait, right? And it just highlights that there is a better version of female leads out there, right? And so that's what I kind of wanted to talk about in this episode. So I want to talk about those female leads that kind of shine to me as being green flags or having this green flag female lead archetype, right? And just a disclaimer to begin, I am only talking about dramas that I have watched and I have liked, right? These are dramas that I know intimately, and so that's why I am talking about them. I am not talking about dramas that I have not watched, and so there are going to be female leads out there that are green flags as well. But again, if I have not seen it and it's not a 2023 drama, then it's not making this list. And again, this list is not long to begin with, but the first female lead I want to talk about is the female lead in the Korean drama My Good Bad Mother. I do a full length review about this drama, so you guys can check that out if you want to as well. But basically, I want to talk about the character of the female lead, Miju. And I would like to say that she was actually my inspiration for this episode because I found her character very, very dynamic, right? To start first, I want to give a spoiler alert that I will spoil things inadvertently, right? And I don't censor myself in that way. So if you've not seen this drama and you would like not to be spoiled, you should probably click off and watch the drama first. But moving on, For those who don't know, My Good Bad Mother is a 2023 Korean drama starring Lee Do-yeon as Choi Kang-go, Ramiran as Jin Young-sun, and Anun Jin as Lee Mi-ju. And basically, the story follows an authoritarian mother and her son. Ramiran's character, Young-sun, raises her son very strictly to the point of abuse and suffocation because she wants him to become something worthy than just a pig farmer's son, right? All of this at the expense of his own happiness, right? And so her son, Lee Do-yeon's character, Choi Kang-go, grows kind of resentful of her and almost hates her in a way. And basically the story here is them just kind of walking through their misunderstanding and growing to love one another despite all their faults. Especially when Choi Kang-go gets into an accident and kind of needs rehabilitation. The character I want to talk about is the character of Aun Jin, who plays Mi-ju in this drama and happens to be the love interest of Choi Kang-go. In this drama, in a way, she's his light, his place of peace, right? And generally, I think she just means a lot to Choi Kang-go, right? One thing that was very impressive to me about her character was how friendly and boisterous she was, right? She showed her affection for Choi Kang-go very easily, which a lot of female leads do not do, right? The female leads are typically written to be very shy and continue to act coy, even when they like the male lead. Whereas Mi-ju does not do this. She's very honest with herself, right? And I think this is part of what draws Choi Kang-go to her, right? She's very true to herself, and when she likes him, and she tells him she likes him, right? This, first of all, makes her stand out, right? In a way, she's just not a toxic person, right? She'll tell you how things are, and I appreciate that about her. Another thing that was impressive to me was how she was willing to stand on her own when Choi Kang-go broke up with her. Even when she sees him with somebody else, when she's had his twins and everything, she never felt the need to approach him, right? When they broke up, right? She was never one to kind of latch onto him and beg him for attention. She was never pathetic, right? And I appreciate that about her, that she was willing to kind of work for her kids and do the best for them in a way that just made her a very strong person to me. But I would say that what makes her, I think, the biggest green flag was how she reacted once Kang-go had his accident, right? In that when she realizes that Kang-go has basically been relegated back to being a 7-year-old and all these things, she's never once taken out her anger on him. She never once takes out that resentment that she feels for him, given that he's very weak. He has a weakness in the sense that he's basically 7-year-old at this point, right? And in fact, I would say that she looks after him a little bit, trying to gauge him and kind of understand what he's going through, right? And I think that's what makes her a good example of a green flag, because she was just such a good person to the point where I felt like Kang-go did not deserve her. Because she's even like this in that scene where she realizes that his mom has taken pesticide and might be using it to try and commit suicide. She runs to them and she kind of snatches it from Young-sun's hand. And I feel like a normal person might have wanted to just look away and be like, it's none of my business, given that it's the mother of someone that broke up with me. And it's very given that Young-sun kind of intercepted their relationship a lot when they were younger, right? She was kind of a little against it, right? And so even despite all this, she still cares and she's kind of willing to kind of help where she can, right? That does not mean that she forgives him, because she doesn't, but it also means that she's very mature and can kind of see things in a more nuanced way. I think that's impressive. Her willingness to help him is impressive, and just overall good written character. The only issue I have with that is that she didn't tell Kang-ho about his kids, and I think even for her, she could instinctively tell that it was not the right time and that Kang-ho could not kind of afford to know about them, right? Because the way she even takes their breakup was done so coolly, despite all she done for him, right? I mean, she was on cooking and cleaning for him, and when he broke up with her, she took it with such stride that I was like, this is amazing. How is she able to do this? But no, she holds her own and with dignity lets him break up with her. And I think, it makes her just a very charismatic person. And so she would be my first example of that green flag female lead archetype, right? Just characters that are good, genuine people and can hold healthy relationships, right? The second person I want to talk about is the female lead in the Thai drama To the Moon and Back. Again, spoiler alert if you've not seen this drama, go watch it first before you listen to this episode. I will say that I'll probably do a full-length review about this drama someday because it's just such a good drama that it deserves an episode dedicated to it only. But basically, the drama To the Moon and Back is one starring James Jirayu. And I know some people are going to be like, that's not his last name. His last name is insert here. But honestly, his last name is easily one of the most difficult last names I've ever seen. Like, it's a tongue twister for me. So I'm just going to call him James Jirayu. But basically, yes, this is a drama starring James Jirayu as Purim, a talented neurosurgeon from an affluent family whose upbringing, I guess, can only be described as stifled and highly controlled by his emotionally manipulative and abusive father and his equally weak-willed mother, who really only takes her husband's side because, again, he provides them with everything, right? And keep in mind that his father is also verbally abusive to his wife, right? Always belittling her, even though she was like a famous actress in the past, right? So he grows up kind of living only on their expectations of him, and honestly, I feel like for Purim, he was kind of fine with it, and he had grown to become second nature to him because, again, he's been like this since he was young, and he's fine with it, right? That is until he meets our female lead, Matalada, played by Toi Jarimpon Junkiat, who is this hippie looking young girl with, I would say, the sunniest personality I've ever seen. But basically they grow closer because, again, it's not very difficult to like her, right? I will say that of all the female leads I've ever seen and ever had the pleasure of watching in a drama, Matalada has easily one of the purest heart I've ever seen. Probably because of the community she was raised in, having, LGBT parents and friends, and she's easily one female that I ordinarily believe is too good for any guy, honestly. But thankfully, actually, Purim in this drama is also a sweet cinnamon roll himself, and so they are kind of perfect for one another. But even if there was a hint of douchiness or asshole from Purim's character, I would have been against them till the very end. But thankfully, Purim is just as sweet, so I'm kind of okay with them. What made Matalada make this list is, first of all, she's the most carefree and sweetest girl ever, right? And in a way that, even though she's carefree and everything, she's not written to look stupid either, right? In fact, she's very smart, and I will say that she understands social cues in a way that no other female has ever shown me that they do. She's written so well that, I could understand why Purim likes her so much, because I feel like her existence, just the fact that she exists in this world, is enough for him to like her, right? She's just that amazing, right? And what makes her a perfect example of the green flag archetype is that she influences Purim to make choices that are good for him just by being herself. And I think because she's just a positive and healthy minded person, Purim kind of feeds off that, right? She's able to get Purim to loosen up and really take an introspective look at himself and in what he wants to do in his life. It's not because she makes him do it. It's not like she instructs him to do it or anything, but because of her own way of life and how she thinks, which, is just unproblematic and all good vibes, he is influenced to also want something similar, right? I like that Mata is never antagonistic towards people, and she's always trying to be amiable, even to people that I feel like they don't deserve it. For example, our grandparents, right, who are just transphobic assholes. No one will ever convince me that our grandfather is not just a terrible person, because I feel like he is. But again, she was raised by such a good father herself, and our father's friends as well, that she can kind of be positive, and despite all the hate that they get, she returns it with just goodness, and it just makes her one of the best examples of this. And it was at the point of watching this drama that I thought to myself that, wow, I guess Thai dramas can be amazing, because this is easily the best Thai drama I have ever seen in my entire life, right? Nothing beats this in terms of just writing, because this is just what I call a healing drama, just a pure loving drama, right? And so if you've not seen this drama, you should. But yeah, that's it on my second example of the green flag archetype. The third drama I want to talk about is the Chinese drama Hidden Love. Again, spoiler alert, if you've not seen this drama, watch it before you listen to this podcast. But Hidden Love is basically a Chinese drama starring Jia Lucy as Sang-ji, a young girl who falls in love with her older brother as his best friend, played by Chen Jie-yuan. Chen Jie-yuan plays Duan Jia-shu in this drama. So I did a review of this drama as well, and I encourage you guys to check that one out as well, because I say a lot more about her character there as well. But what makes Sang-ji, the female lead in this, such a perfect example of the green flag female lead archetype is that she is true to Duan Jia-shu and is almost always on his side. To her and us, the audience as well, actually, we know how good and how kind Duan Jia-shu is, right? And so she never lets anyone kind of disrespect him just because he's had a harder life than most people, right? She refuses to accept that people believe she is too good for him, because to her he's pretty much perfect, and she tells him that whenever she gets the chance, right? There are 3 scenes that especially showcase this. The first one is when Duan Jia-shu's debtor girl, that like obsessed girl, splashes water on his face just because she sees him in a restaurant like smiling with another girl, and she's like out of her mind crazy anyways, and so she takes a cup of water or something and splashes it on Duan Jia-shu without asking any question. Almost instantly, like reflex or something, Sang-ji retaliates by splashing water back on the crazy girl. She did not know their history, and she did not even feel the need to ask Duan Jia-shu if he did something wrong to offend the girl. No, for Sang-ji, no one dares mess with him while she's there, right? And I think that's pretty amazing, right? The second scene that showcases just how much she's on his side is in that scene when she discovers her brother hits Duan Jia-shu. So Sang-yan hits Duan Jia-shu because he discovers that they were dating all this while and he did not know about it. When she finds out, she's immediately moved to tears, because to her, Duan Jia-shu is precious, right, and does not deserve such a treatment, right? I mean, granted, it's not like I condone violence. I could see where her brother was coming from, but for Sang-ji, she could not accept that someone would hurt him like that, right? And that's, I don't know, if that's not a green flag, I don't know what is. And the third thing that comes to mind is the scene where Sang-ji finds out that her parents spoke to Duan Jia-shu behind her back, right? This is when they found out that Sang-ji and Duan Jia-shu were dating, right? And so the parents go behind her back and talk to him, and they basically are just highlighting the fact that, you know, she's too good for him, she doesn't have enough things and everything, and they want her to be comfortable and stuff like that. And she's immediately distraught, right? Because to her it feels like they're belittling him, right? And she can't take that. And it's very interesting to me because that shows me like that's something like a family member would do, in the sense that I feel like Duan Jia-shu gained a family in Sang-ji very early on, because only family would defend you like that to no end, right? And that's what Sang-ji does every time it even seems like someone is remotely beaming to the love of her life, right? And I think that was sweet because, again, given that Duan Jia-shu is an orphan himself, it means a lot for someone to always be on his side. And so all this kind of just showcase a generally positive and supportive attitude that I would like to say, I think this is part of why this drama is such a hit, right? Sang-ji is just such a good person and is willing to take his side because she feels like he deserves it, and he does. To her, that's all she needs to take his side and to always be on his side. And yeah, those are actually the 3 dramas I wanted to talk about. I will say that one thing I like about this green flag archetype is that this is one of the only scenarios where I can understand why the male lead falls for the female lead. Most dramas have the male lead fall in love with the female lead for no good reason, right? Other than the fact that that is a female lead, right? So a character can be the shittiest person ever and the male lead will still fall for her. Because why? She has female lead halo, right? And that never stood well with me. Yes, there are other reasons why male lead can fall in love with female lead, and I'm not talking about those reasons, but this is one good one, right, where the female lead doesn't really have to do anything. Her existence alone is good enough for the male lead to fall in love with her, because again, they see all these good aspects of her and they like that about her, and that's the pull for them. This is very realistic to me, because people do like kind people. Like when you're a kind person and you're now pretty too, and let's be honest, female leads are always beautiful, right? So when you're that kind and you're that good of a person, just generally, I feel like that's realistic when the male lead falls in love, right? And I will even say that I feel like that's what sustains a good relationship. Have you ever like watched a drama where at the end you're like, you know what? Even though this drama ends here, I feel like in real life, if this couple existed, they would not survive. Like the relationship would not survive. Like they would break up soon after. Because, I mean, dramas are just there to tell us like a fantasy story and everything, right? But sometimes you can tell when couples can like stay together, right? Because again, the way the relationship builds will tell you that, right? And this is one where you can tell the relationship will last because of how good the female lead is. Another thing I noticed about the green flag archetype, especially relating to like the female lead, is that they are almost always paired with a soft male lead, like a male lead that's also a good person, right? In a way, Danjashu from Hidden Love is a good person. Purim from To the Moon and Back is a good person. Kango is the only one that's on shaky grounds, but that's also just a very different drama in the sense that it's adding aspects of like politics and mystery, and you know there's fights and everything in that, so it makes sense that he's not a perfect human being. But generally I feel like this kind of female lead always goes with a male lead that's also kind of a good person, right? And so, or even a male lead that I would say needs healing, right? A damaged male lead, I would say. And so Kango kind of fits that trope in that way, because through the female lead, you know, they are able to become a better version of themselves, right? They're able to grow as a person, and I think that's really the allure for me for this archetype. You know, it's always filled with like healing and just goodness and just like soft vibes that is just warm, right? And so I just really, really like this idea. But yeah, that's really the 3 dramas I'm looking at. And I mean, there are more, I'm sure. I'll probably add the female lead in Call It Love, but she was kind of on shaky grounds for me, so I didn't include her. Call It Love is a Korean drama that also aired in 2023, and I just like the female lead because of her kind of evolution, but she's more of a grey female lead, and I might do an episode about that kind of like archetype as well. So yeah, that's all for this episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I had fun making this and just researching this, and it was always something I wanted to make an episode about, so I'm glad I could do it. So thank you guys so much for listening. See you again next week. Have a nice day. Bye.